Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Acton. I am a family law solicitor at Duncan Lewis in the office in Milton Keynes. And we have with us Emma. Emma's a trainee solicitor who also works in the office. She's currently in her divorce and finance seat, and she will be, in a few months, progressing or moving on to the childcare seat. So we both work together in the Milton Keynes office. And today we're going to be discussing a few questions about divorce and financial matters in England and Wales.
Yeah, we have a list of questions over here that we've got that people have kind of put to us. But if you want to ask any more questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and then we can obviously look at them towards the end. Do you want to start off with the first question?
Yeah. Right. So one of the first questions we've got was, is there such a thing as a common law marriage? So common law marriages are a myth. There is a statute that deals with unmarried couples who have been cohabitating, but the laws around this are different. So the law that applies to couples who are cohabitating but unmarried is called the Trust of Land and Appointment of Trustees Act. The protection that offers, I would say, is less limited. Well, it's perhaps a bit limited as compared to if you were married. When you are married, you say there is a breakdown and you have a house together or you have children together, perhaps there is much more of a stronger recourse with the court as compared to if you remain unmarried. So in short, Tolata does offer protection. However, it would not be the same amount of protection that you can get if you were married.
Yeah. So the second question is, I've heard there are new rules surrounding divorce. Is this true? So yes, since April 2022, there was key changes made to the divorce law. The court have basically tried to simplify the process, and there's this thing called a new no-fault divorce law, which basically means that you don't need to put any blame on any party. The court are basically willing to accept that there's been an irretrievable breakdown of your marriage, and that you cannot reconcile. So on this basis, the court are basically willing to issue new divorce proceedings without basically considering the conduct of the parties within the marriage. And there's basically no reason for you to give why your marriage has broken down. The court are just willing to now accept this under the new rules.
Yeah, so just to add on, previously you had to give essentially 5 reasons. So most common reason for breakdown in marriage was unreasonable behavior, and you had to highlight like 5 different things what the unreasonable behavior is about. You don't have to do any of that now. Now it's just, has your marriage broken down? Can you reconcile? No. Okay, get on with it. We can, you can apply for the divorce basically.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Another question. How long does getting a divorce take? Right. So this question really, there's no straightforward answer because it varies from case to case. So some people's divorce, someone's divorce where there are no children, or perhaps they don't have any finances together, no house, no money together. So this one's quite straightforward. It usually takes around 26 weeks, so 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, around that period of time. However, if you have financial matters, if you have a lot of properties together, if you have pensions, or you've been married for over 30, 40 years, you have a couple of children, then in that situation, the divorce process may take longer. Now, that's why when we say how long does it take, it depends on a case-by-case basis. Some finish within the 26 weeks, some finish within 52 weeks. It really depends. But yeah, straightforward divorce is about 6 to 7 months, if not 9 to 12 months. But there are cases where this goes on far longer, and sometimes even for over a year and a half.
Yeah. So the next question is, are prenups or postnups legally binding? So since 2010, they have been taken into consideration by the court. They're not legally binding, but the courts can take them into consideration, although they're not compelled to. There are circumstances where the courts, take it more seriously, where, the parties have both been given legal advice and the agreement within the prenup is fair. But some of them can be taken into consideration when, for example, if you've had a marriage and then you've had a child, the court may decide that they can't uphold what was in the agreement because there's now a child. But again, this is a case-by-case basis, and technically, no, it's not legally binding.
Um, yeah, so the another question we've got is when you apply for a divorce, can you apply it solely or can you apply it jointly? So since the law changed around divorces in April 2022, you can do both. Okay. If you and your ex-husband or ex-partner, oh no, sorry, ex-husband or ex-wife are on good terms, you all can do it together. If you do it together, you got to remember that only one person can still pay for the court fee. It's £593. So only one person can pay, and you have to work out how you're going to get half of the money. The other option is you can apply yourself solely and you pay the fee yourself. Um, I suppose there's perhaps a few advantages to doing it together. The advantage to doing it together is there's no, if both of you have completed the application, there's no reason to send for the court to send any documents to the other side or for the other person to respond to it. Whereas if you did it solely, you'd have to complete the application, it gets issued, then it goes to your ex-husband, they need to respond to it. That's perhaps the only advantage. The court fee remains the same. Yeah, so but to answer the question, can you apply solely or jointly? You can do both.
Yeah. So the next question is, do I need to disclose the details of my assets to my spouse if we kept the finances separate during the marriage? So in short, yes, you will be, required to disclose all of the financial position that you're in, basically. This is so that the court can take into account all of the assets that are available, and then they essentially make a pot, which can then meet each party's needs. This disclosure doesn't matter whether you kept your finances separate during your marriage or whether you pulled them together. It's basically irrelevant. The court will need to see what assets you have.
Yeah, there is a duty to make full and frank disclosure in financial proceedings.
Yeah.
Right. So, can you get divorced if you have only been married for a few months? No, you cannot. So, if you've been married for 4 months, you still need to wait for a year. You need to wait for a year after your marriage to be able to apply for a divorce. You can't do it before.
Yeah. So the next one, is there a court fee for divorce? So yes, there is. The court fee is currently £593, and then there's also a separate court fee for the financial proceedings, which is £303.
Right. When we finish these proceedings and have a final order, do I still have a claim for further financial provision? Now, the very important question. So it depends on what type of financial order you receive. So we have something that's called a clean break order. A clean break order is one whereby essentially you're closing the door for any future further claim. So if you get a clean break order and within 5 years your husband or wife wins the lottery, I'm sorry, but you're not going to have any other further recourse. But on the other hand, there are some orders which are perhaps maintenance orders. These are not clean break orders, or if there is no clean break provision. So there's a lot of statute that goes when there is a clean break order. I won't get into that now, but if those statutes are not there and your sort of financial claim still remains open, in that situation, yes, you can go back to court. But if you've got a clean break order, then it's highly unlikely the court will just not entertain it. You will not have a further claim.
Yeah. So I think you should answer this next one. Do I need a solicitor for divorce?
Right. So we get this a lot because everyone's case is, people's case issues are different. Some are quite straightforward. Some are complicated. I would suggest that you always get initial advice. Okay. You always have to get initial advice. It's simply because if you're not legally qualified and if you don't work with the courts on a day-to-day basis, and don't draft statements, applications, whatever court orders. If you don't do this on a daily basis, it's very beneficial to get the initial advice. You get the initial advice, and at that point, that person who you're speaking to will be able to convey to you whether this is something that you can do perhaps yourself, or perhaps you need more professional help. Now, there are some cases, like I said, where mediation works, or there's alternate dispute resolution where you could try arbitration, or there's a lot of different avenues, but you wouldn't know about this unless you have that initial advice. So I would always recommend, if you don't work in this space all the time, it's very beneficial to get that initial advice. And most of the time, if your case is complex, just get a solicitor. It makes it easier. Yes, it costs, but it makes things a lot easier, because if you have a working life, or if you have a lot of children, then these people will take over and do the work for you. And at the same time, you will have somebody to always be able to get perhaps reassurance from or ask questions to. It's just, from my point of view, it's a little bit of peace of mind. So yes, always get initial advice if you've got, a property, multiple properties, or just have no idea what to do. Get a solicitor. It's easier, very easy.
Let me see if we've got any questions in the chat. Don't think we have at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Well, it was not lovely chatting to everyone. So that's me, Acton, and this is Emma. If you need any more advice, please go to our website or contact the number 033377720409, or you can go on the website and type in our names and you'll find the contact details, our emails there. I'm more than happy to help. Like I said, if you're stuck, if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like, oh, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go from here? Always ask for advice. It'll be fine. Yeah.
But if there's any other questions, just feel free to send them to us on an email, and then we can do our best to answer. We can respond. Yes. But I think that's everything. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.